Hello and welcome to Lovely English Stories. Thank you for stopping by. This story is written for upper intermediate English learners. Ready? Let's get started. B2 English Story. Looking Back. Another year is almost over, and what a year it has been, filled with highs and lows. Some people have had more highs than others. The amazing thing about life is we never know what could happen from one day to the next. One tiny thing could change our lives forever. We could win the lottery. Our work could be chosen for an exhibition. Our children might win a race or get accepted into a prestigious school. Our friends might fall ill. Our parents might pass away. Life is full of unexpected twists and turns. Mary sat back in her cozy armchair and reflected on her year. She took in a deep breath and sighed loudly. Her cat, Cleo, turned to look at her. "It's okay, Cleo. Just letting out my frustration." Mary lived alone. She loved living alone. She had the space to do what she pleased. If she wanted to eat pizza for dinner, she could. If she wanted to sit on the sofa all day watching trash TV, she could. If she never wanted to clean up again, she didn't have to. Living alone also meant she could have a cat. Mary had always wanted a cat, but couldn't have one due to her ex-boyfriend's allergies. Mary's year had been one filled with heartbreak. A few years ago, she had moved abroad to be with her boyfriend, but things hadn't worked out. She tried to like the city in which they lived. She tried to get accustomed to the new culture around her, but she struggled to integrate and make real friends. She had friends, but she often felt they were surface-level friendships. She found it hard to let go and really trust people. This meant that she often felt misunderstood and alone. Her relationship with her now ex-boyfriend became strained. She often felt that their relationship was imbalanced. She had given up her home and life to be with him, but he seemed unwilling to give her the same level of commitment. After much soul-searching and long emotional chats into the night, she decided to pack up her life and move back home. It was a difficult decision. She didn't start the year knowing she would be back in her childhood village again. She thought she might be able to stay in the city she had moved to, but then she realized she wasn't herself there. She was almost a shadow of her former self. She made herself smaller to fit other people's expectations. That wasn't her. As she moved home with her tail between her legs, Mary felt like a failure. She had spent 4 years trying her hardest to fit into a place that didn't quite suit her. It was like putting a square peg into a round hole. No matter how hard she tried, nothing quite fitted. Being back home felt like being back to square one again. But Mary tried to look at the positives. She had managed, after staying with her parents for a few months, to get herself a flat. She had always wanted a flat in the attic of an old building, and she had got exactly that. It wasn't perfect and could get chilly, but it felt homely, and it was hers. She also adopted Cleo, her rescue cat. and she started dance classes where she had met some wonderful new friends. She was lucky that her job meant she could live anywhere, so she continued to run her writing business as she had when she lived abroad. She found it odd that she missed the city she was once so miserable in. How could she miss a place where she was often so unhappy and frustrated? Of course, she also missed her ex-boyfriend. It made sense to miss him, but to miss the place that didn't make her feel at home was very confusing for her. As the end of the year drew to a close, Mary got out her diary and read through it. It was filled with sadness, frustration, and yearning, but it also had pockets of joy. There were days that Mary would remember for the rest of her life. There were elements of satisfaction and celebration. Yes, Mary had moved across the world again. She had to start again, and often felt like she was back to square one. But she had lived. She had experienced new things, and, most important of all, she had tried. It's important to remember that you never know unless you try. What's a life without trying? If you don't try and take a risk, you end up doing the same thing forever. And for Mary, that was like hell on earth. Mary was slowly starting to piece her life together again, one step at a time. She knew her circumstances weren't as bad as other people experienced, and she felt grateful for that. She had a roof over her head, a job, a lovely cat, and her family and friends were all safe and well. What more could she ask for? She knew that by being grateful for the little things in life, her mood was uplifted, and she felt calmer. Sometimes society and social media make us believe we need to have so many material things to make our lives seem worthwhile, but that really isn't the case. Often, a simpler life is a happier life. For Mary, it was important for her to travel and see the world. Of course, she couldn't really do that over the last year or so, but she hoped that would change in the future. She wanted to be able to volunteer at an elephant sanctuary, and she had plans to travel to Brazil and Chile. She was learning Spanish and Portuguese to make her trip a little easier to navigate. She decided to write down 3 positive things that had happened in the last year and 3 things she needed to work on. She knew she had to learn to say no more often, and she wanted to work towards her own goals instead of worrying about other people. She also needed to stop eating so many crisps. She was thankful for her parents, her friends, and for moving into her new flat, because now she had good foundations in place to go into the next year, a year she hoped would be much better than the last. Mary took a sip of her tea, and as the end of the year hadn't yet come, she decided to sit back, relax, and enjoy another bag of her favorite crisps. When you look back over the last year, what are you proud of? Tell us in the comments below. We hope you enjoyed this lovely English story. Thank you for stopping by. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. See you soon.